to be wild, born to be wild, born to be wild. Well, I don't know if you noticed the last video, because this seems to be a continuation. It's got half of Born to be Wild on the previous video, which is a Waffen SS one, and this one is part 2, I suppose. We have to see what's coming. We don't know what's coming until it's been. So I did notice at the end of the last video there was a picture of outside my back door, and you saw all the little cars there, not many of them, but the few little cars there. And the poor people have little cars, and one of them looks really tiny. And poor people are always trying to find ways to economize, to be frugal. It's a necessary requirement for the poor to be frugal. And this is one thing that the rich need to learn also, because it's not necessary to ride around the world in huge big black SUVs consuming the planet. It's not actually necessary to do that. And we've been fed a line by the intellectual elites who organize the place that we've got problems in our natural world. Okay, we were born to be wild, but now we're living forever chained to the inside of our houses, because everything out there has been organized, so you can't touch it. You can't touch it. Not possible to touch it. Somebody owns it, right? Now, there's loads of places out there that people own that they're not even interested in. They're all going to wreck and ruin, making a demonic mess of the countryside. But nobody's allowed to go there and do anything with them, okay? So all us people who were born to be wild, we're not wild, we're all chained up in little cages. And all the people want is to be free to go outside and mess around with nature, build a little house or something, without all this permitting nonsense or all the rules and regulations. You just build what we feel like building, And if that doesn't work, we can tear it down, use it for firewood, do something else. And in this way, man explores his creative side. But now we've got all these organizations building houses, building tunnels. Building tunnels. Let's look at building tunnels, That's a weird sort of thing. Man becomes a mole. I watched this video yesterday. North Cape. Now, the North Cape is the most furthest thing away from man, from anywhere. It's not even on the land, it's an island. It's an island off the coast of Norway. It's the northernmost point of Europe, right? If you go there, the sun comes up for half an hour and then goes away again. It's not a sort of place you want to live, really. But it's a funny thing about man. Everywhere where man can live, he does. And there's a native peoples of the area, I forget the name of them. These people live with the reindeer, and so the basic purpose, what they found for this island was that it's a good place in the summer months for the reindeer to go and chew the grass or whatever it is. They eat the berries or whatever, probably eat the berries, that's probably what the berries were for. And so every year the native peoples who lived in the valleys there, in nature, wild and free, born to be wild and doing it. Living with the reindeer clothing, the furs from the reindeer, the leather of the reindeer, and the wood, and they make their knives and everything, you know, so that they can skin the reindeer. Every year, they take the reindeer over to the island because there's food over there, you know, it's good stuff. Nobody's been touching it over there, yeah. So come spring or summer, it's good stuff. Some certain time of the year it's good for the reindeer. How do they get the reindeer over to the island? The reindeer swim. They all jump in. It's just like walking for reindeer. Over to the island. Yeah, once a year. And then swim back. Okay. So, you know, this is nature. Everything's taken care of in nature. Wild and free. Yeah. Now, if a man wants to go over there, he builds a little boat, you know, a little boat, yeah. Maybe out of tree bark and sticks, yeah. Makes a paddle, and now he's doing it together with the reindeer, right? So it's natural, yeah. Doesn't need anybody to give him a license to do this. Doesn't need a license to build a canoe and sail it around the ocean, you know, that's nonsense. No, who's saying you can't do this, yeah? Who's saying you can't drive a car? Any dickhead can drive a car, yeah? Anybody. You're born with the flipping blueprint of cars already in your genes, yeah? You got to go through all this nonsense, yeah? Everybody knows what a stop sign is, yeah? You've got to learn all this archaic nonsense. Get some kind of license. Pay somebody. Yeah. So the whole world's been organised. But anyway, back then, the reindeer, boomph, okay. Still today, the reindeer, send them over, you know. Well, until recently. But now they've got a tunnel. First of all, they built ferries and docks and stuff like that, because what they have up there, the only thing they have up there is fish. The only reason they have fish up there is because we're no fishermen, yeah. The water's so rough and rugged out there. See this video, the boat's like little boat. Ah, God, I wouldn't want to be out there at all. Terrible place. And they used to pray for the fish to come close to shore, because nature would bring them in close and they'd be able to catch the fish, enough fish to eat, yeah. And the salmon would run up the rivers and they'd catch loads and loads of salmon. But the sea out there is just full of cod, like it used to be here. It used to be teeming with cod. The whole... And cod is the opposite of God, you know. Cod and God, it's very similar, you know. It's not the opposite. Cod and God's the same thing, you know. And cod, you eat a cod, the cod becomes God, you know. It's a kind of funny thing about energy. But now, because there's no cods, there's no God. There's no God, the cod. The cod and the God all go at the same time. There's no cod out there anymore. Even though you can buy fish and chips with cod in England, cod knows where the cod comes from, or if it really is cod, it probably comes from Antarctica or the Arctic or Norway up there. There's loads of cod up there. It comes, I don't know, but there's no cod. If you go and put a line down and try and catch cod in England and Wales and the Channel and all that, no cod. They've all been catched, yeah. So now we see this magnificent place. You know, people go there purely because it's the only bit of nature left, yeah. And so it attracts tourists, yeah. And maybe there's too many tourists. There's too much traffic on the boats, yeah. But that's okay, because, you know, if you try to book, you got to book your ferry, and if you try to book on a certain day. If it's fully booked, well, you don't go, do you? And so it limits the amount of degradation to the environment. Too many people, yeah. Anyway, you know the Norwegians, I said you know about the Norwegians. They got loads and loads of money, like loads of it, capital coming out of their ears because of the discovery of oil in the area, okay? And the fact that the big oil companies didn't get it, the Norwegian government got it. So they got loads of money to spend, yeah? So what they do is they build this ridiculous tunnel. Huge project. Takes 5 years to build, you know, like millions and millions. God knows how many millions, probably billions, to make this goddamn tunnel. This hole in the ground, yeah, and they start digging it, and all the signs are wrong from nature. Like it's supposed to be a bit of shale and then hard rock, and then they dig through that. It's easy that. No, it's shale all the way through. So they've got to invent this procedure whereby they put some plastic stuff in it, you know, some artificial poisonous substance that they made use a chemical process, petrochemical process, stick that in, and then spew cement all over the place, yeah. And this is supposed to make the tunnel so it's solid, yeah. But behind it, it's all just loose shale, yeah. So what's going to happen to this tunnel in 20 years, yeah? It's going to fall to pieces, right? Yeah. But it doesn't matter because they got the contract, and the people who are in cahoots with the Norwegian government that make the cement, they don't mind. The more cement, the more justification to increase the price. So the price of all these jobs is based on the quantity of cement. So when they get the quote, so much cement, they go with a variation to the government and say, look, you know, we're using this much cement because we can't help it. The nature's like this, so now it's going to be 5 times as much, yeah? And the price of cement, they can't lose, yeah? They just like got to say, cost of cement plus, and they're making loads and loads of money. So the cement industry is one of the most corrupt industries in the whole country. And the way it gets its jobs is by government creating work. This is a created work project. Nobody needs this tunnel, yeah? This tunnel is just going to mean that loads more people are going to be able to go to this place than they can support, yeah? And it's going to mean that they're going to have signs, no this, no that, you know, rubbish everywhere. Who's going to pick up the rubbish? It's only, the only thing they do up there is a bit of fishing. That's all there is up there. Okay. Fishing and now tourism. And tourism is one of the most destructive industries on the planet. There's many communities who have been ruined by tourism. And they're putting signs up on the beaches, no tourists, you know, sort of stuff. It's terrible stuff, and these tourists come and they just corrupt everything. They corrupt the local politicians, and they corrupt the developers, because the developers want to build great big condominiums and holiday homes and everything, and they've got no services. You know, so locals got to pay for services, and the price of all the real estate goes up. And then the local people got nowhere to live. The whole purpose of being there was because it was an out-of-the-way place and the fishing was good, yeah? So this is kind of a model for what's wrong with the world, yeah? And people shouldn't be going just tourists. They shouldn't be going to places just to tour around, yeah? You know, it's a waste of a man's life. Some people go there on bicycles. This is a good idea. Go on a bicycle trip to the North Cape, 2,000 miles, whatever it is, by bicycle, yeah? When you get there, you feel like you've done something. And if all the people had to go there by bicycle, well, there wouldn't be that many people there, would there? Because all the stupid tourists would be doing something else. Experiencing the rugged paradise bordering the Arctic zone. Now, the Arctic zone is one of the few places where there's a few fish left, only because man isn't exploiting it as much there. But you know, in the end there's going to be no fish left anywhere, and there's certainly not enough fish left in the ocean to support the world with eating fish, that's for sure. And as you can't tell whether the fish is any good or not, because even in this place here, 7 degrees north, or whatever, off north, even here, they got fish farms. Fish farms. Because what happened was they had all the concrete and the cement and all that going on up there. They had to build some pillars for some bridges that they had to make. So the area that they did this in, they turned into a fish farm. Yeah? What do you need a fish farm for in the middle of nowhere? Yeah? I don't know. Nobody wants to eat farmed fish. It's poisonous. You can't keep fish in cages and feed it on bad food, poisonous food, and expect people to eat it. People with any sense, they wouldn't eat it because it's got all these bad chemicals that can accumulate in your body, and in the end you just get cancer or something. People are dying of cancer at 20 years old now, yeah? Probably from eating at McDonald's and things like that. We don't know. And why aren't the governments dealing with the chemical food issue? Why are they building tunnels? What have they got in their brains? All that the British government is interested in is AI and the computer industry. That's all. Because it's so complicated that once you start thinking about that, you haven't got any time to think about anything else. Now you've got Rishi Sunak. How's he going to keep up with what's going on with AI? He's going to have to read Twitter forever, or wherever he gets his information from. He's just going to have to sit there forever trying to keep up with the developments in AI. What about all the chemical stuff? What about all the bad chemicals? Yeah, who's doing anything about that? Making it legal to make this stuff. I talked about the mental intellectual problem in the last video. And I remember when I was at school, it was only the people with the really good memories that are interested or any good at chemistry. Yeah, chemistry is kind of like you've got to remember all this complicated stuff, and if you can't remember it, you're just lost. You can research something briefly. Yeah, oh, this is this and this and this and this or this. So I'm able to research chemistry. I wouldn't want to make my life chemistry. My God. When you went to chemistry class, all the bad stuff happened there, all the poisons, all the explosions, the stuff that destroyed everything, the acids and all that stuff. That was all chemistry, who needs that stuff? It's poisonous. And so all these people, these intellectual types with good memories, they're all drawn to chemistry. So you've got all these people working in the chemical industry, making all this poisonous stuff. And nobody's told them not to do it. Yeah? Nobody. And now I went to the supermarket yesterday to try to buy something to eat. Just a snack or something, just something just to relieve my monotony of rice, yeah? Even the bread's no good. So I looked on all the shelves. I spent like an hour in there, and I walked and looked at all the shelves, and it was nothing but poison. Everywhere you looked, there wasn't a single thing worth eating. All the fruit and vegetables were all poisoned. Oh, what's poisoned? And so all this stuff in plastic, it's all poisoned, and all of it's just concocted using all these bad sugary substances which are poisonous. The body can't process them. So just like everything is just poison. I think, when is the government going to do something about this? When are we going to regulate the chemical industry? Yeah? When? Chemical industry produces the drug industry. I'm just uploading my video. Ah, it's uploaded. Yeah, it's uploaded. So I'm going to call this video. See if we've got a decent picture on here. I don't know. That one. This one. Oh, that'll do. That'll do. Okay, well, that's number 2 in the, just like the Waffen SS, the intellectual elites have got it wrong. Something else they got wrong. Thanks for watching. Born to be wild, born to be